We're going to have to move on now. Do you think that Donald Trump should take climate change seriously? 0207 862 2222 is the number. Now, devastating wildfires are wreaking havoc across Los Angeles. At least 10 people have been killed and nearly 180,000 have been forced from their homes. While the cause of it is yet unknown, scientists say that climate change is increasing the heat and extending droughts, making the landscape more vulnerable to these sorts of burning. It's essentially. Senator Bernie Sanders says that Trump needs to treat climate change as an existential crisis, easy for you to say. However, the incoming president has expressed mixed views when it comes to climate change. He said that it is an important issue on one hand, but also called it non-existent. And during his first presidency, he said that we must stop predicting the apocalypse. Take a look at this.
To embrace the possibilities of tomorrow, we must reject the perennial prophets of doom and their predictions of the apocalypse.
Now, in response to the wildfires, he has been quick to blame the Democrats. Let's see.
This is a true tragedy, and it's a mistake of the governor, and you could say the administration. They don't have any water. They didn't have water in the fire hydrants.
So is it time he prioritised climate change, or do you think that this isn't the biggest issue the US is facing? Darryl, what's your thoughts?
I think it's the biggest issue that the whole planet is facing, that all of us are facing. I think it is, you mentioned, you mentioned there a couple of the things that he'd said that are a bit sort of contradictory, which is classic Donald Trump, really. You know, he is a very incoherent thinker, Donald Trump. And actually the last thing that we need in an issue like this is incoherence. We need something that is coherent and that is consistent. It is without question, the debate has ended about whether or not climate change, A, is an issue, B, is man-made, and C, is something that we need to deal with urgently. The debate is done. To have the President of the United States doubt that is terrifying. He is an incredibly important and influential individual when it comes not just to dealing with the US's emissions, but also influencing the world, international policy on this. And you don't need to be concerned about what he's going to do. You just need to be concerned about what he has done, the way in which he stripped back environmental regulations, withdrew America from the Paris Climate Accord. He's already demonstrated how reckless he is on the biggest issue facing humanity. And I think this is a really, really dangerous time for us.
Perhaps this is an issue that actually Trump can't afford not to take seriously, Lizzie.
Yeah, I think Trump needs to take this seriously, but I think all countries have to take it seriously. And I do think we've got to put our energies, you know, instead of Ed Miliband putting, 11.6 billion into climate aid overseas, looking at what's happening at our country at the minute, with our country on the knees. We have to look at our own people. The first duty of any government is to look after its own people.
But part of the complaints of people in this country is that our infrastructure is under strain because of the amount of people coming in. So we're talking about migration. Migration is only going to go up with climate change. We have been told that again and again and again. So sending aid to other countries to help them in their country may stymie that, and actually long term might be a self-preserving thing to do.
Yeah, we've got to look at what's going on in our country at the minute. We're giving 11.6 billion, as I said, to climate aid. We've got 11 billion to foreign aid. We've got this economy. We've heard today what's happening with Rachel Reeves, who's just flown again off to China. We're on our knees here at this economy. We're really struggling.
So
yes, climate change. I'm not a climate change denier. We all want a cleaner and better planet. But we have to look after our own economy and not hurt our economy with what is going on at the minute.
Okay, but just to be clear, economy before climate.
Exactly.
Okay, stay with us because first of all, we're going to get back to whether Trump should take climate change seriously. Do give us a ring, 0207 862 2222 to have your say. Let's go straight to those phone lines and speak to Terry in Staffordshire. Terry, what do you think about Trump and climate change? Is he taking it seriously enough?
No, he's an absolute idiot duck, and all he's bothered about is notoriety and money.
Well, money, yes.
It's a corrupt world, and he's the top of the pile.
Okay, well, just focusing on the money issue, Lizzie says that's exactly what he should be doing. I mean, after all, our economy does quite often follow America, so the last thing we want is their economy crashing. So perhaps Trump putting the economy first will benefit us all?
well, this country just follows them because we're too small to be of any use on our own now, and without America, Britain's nothing anyway. So it's just a matter of who's providing the food, basically. Just like a cat.
So what I'm saying is,
if you want allegiance from a cat, you feed it.
yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, Terry, that actually you agree with the point that Britain's economy will be closely linked to America's. Donald Trump focusing on the economy will benefit us. Totally. So maybe he is taking the right solution. Climate change policies are too expensive for America right now.
The world is. Look at what's been going on this last week. The world is burning, isn't it? You know.
Well, Ellie, it certainly is. I mean, it's terrible. Look at that. Look at these images. These are people's homes burnt to the ground.
It's like an awful movie. You can't believe this is true. I was only there a couple of months ago, and sadly, I've got friends that have been, evacuated. Their homes are burnt to the ground. I've got Bruno's got a house there, as well as Simon Cowell in Malibu. It's terrifying what's going on. But there's been reports today that there's people actually lighting fires as well. So
we don't know how they started, but what scientists do say is that the climate change has made it easier for these wildfires to really take hold because of the excessive rain on one hand and then droughts on the other. So you've got lots of foliage and then it gets really, really dry, and that obviously means that there's a lot of sort of kindling around to help these fires on. Terry, thank you very much for your call. I just saw this on the BBC website, which I wanted to draw your attention to. It's just a sort of compilation of Donald Trump's tweets over the years and things that he said about climate change, just to give you a sort of mixed bag, because it is quite confusing. So he talks about it as the perennial prophets of doom and their apocalyptic predictions. He says that the global warming has been created by and for Chinese. I don't know what he means about that. He calls himself an environmentalist. Then he says the United States will join 1 trillion trees initiative. So that seems like good. He wants the cleanest air anywhere. But then he says it's going to cost a fortune. Where the hell is global warming? He questions, and he calls global warming hoaxsters, he refers to. Very confusing, and leaves us a bit on edge, I suppose.
He's not a serious guy. He's an incoherent character, and
after Joe Biden, he's incoherent.
Do you think this is coherent?
No,
is this coherent? Do you understand where his policy is?
It's Donald Trump. He says things that he shouldn't at times. I know that. I don't agree with all what he says, and I'm just happy with that last one, saying he wants the cleanest water on the planet. We all want to have a cleaner planet. We all want that. But what Donald Trump is saying, he's not going to. He wants to get the economy back on track for America, which will only help us, and we should do the same.
Yes.
Okay, a quick and a really important point. I want you to remember this. I want you to write this down, right? Remember this, right?
I'm poised.
Action on climate change is action on the economy. Climate change, the effects of climate change over the last decade have cost us $15 trillion to the economy, right? It's costing £16 million to the United Kingdom per hour. Action on climate change. If we continue on this trajectory, we will not have an economy to speak of. Solving this problem is solving the economy too. The two things are not at odds with each other. They are interlinked.
On America, just think about the costs of these wildfires.
But Darryl, may I just say, what you think Ed Miliband covering our green land with wind farms and solar panels, that's the right thing to do? Because when it doesn't, if we haven't got any wind or any sun, then what?
Investment in green enemy infrastructure is absolutely the right thing to do.
And you think giving it away 11.6 billion in climate aid to other countries when ourselves...
We are interlinked. Their problem is our problem. We're a global community, Lizzie. Their problem is our problem.
Why don't we put your energy
time and time again?
Put your energy in convincing China that.
Harold from Coventry, what's your view on Donald Trump and whether you think he's taking climate change seriously enough? Harold.
Hello.
Hi there. Sorry, you might have missed me calling out your name there. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm now 82 and I retired in 2017 from 50 years of working in 7 different developing countries in Africa and Asia. And the last 20 years from 1998 to 2017 was in Cambodia, where I ran a British small industries project
where I worked with their national biogas project, which is a very important project, where they were introducing biogas digesters to the countryside to get the people away from chopping down trees and burning charcoal and firewood.
Okay.
And we did. Our little organisation did very, very well, but we were totally underfunded, and I could not get funding from any of these big donors. So, whether Save the Children or the very big funders. They all sort of looked down on us, and yet our little project, which had 30 local guys working in it, we developed and designed, developed and manufactured 56,000 cook stoves.
Wow, which is amazing, Harold. But I'm trying to connect your point to Donald Trump here. What are you trying to tell me? Do you think that Donald Trump should take it more seriously so that these charities would take your organisation, which you keep calling a little organisation, it sounds like you did big work, but would take your organisation more seriously? Or you don't think it's Trump's fault? You think globally we don't take global warming seriously?
No, I definitely think Trump and all the big wigs should take it much more seriously. But I think what I'm trying to say is action needs to be more directed. And sort of people running around the streets screaming, stop digging for oil and stuff like this and that. If I would advise anyone listening, if they want to get involved in something and try to do something positive about climate change, look at the various projects that are going on both nationally and internationally and direct their
attentions there.
Their assistance.
Harold,
yes,
look at it more
there.
positively than negatively. Harold, thank you very much for your call and well done on all the work that you did in Cambodia. Shelley from Newcastle, do you think Trump takes climate change seriously? Do you think he has to?
Well, not really. He's just been voted in by millions and millions of Americans for his stance. He's going to reopen the oil rigs. Mm-hmm. He's always said frack, frack, frack.
Yeah, drill, baby, drill.
Yeah, he's going to do for what's for there. As for LA, they keep saying it's climate change. I'd like to know how they know that, because they said it's been dry for months and months and months and they've had high winds.
Yes.
It could have been started by somebody's cigarette butt just flinging it off. Somebody could have started it.
Shelley, you're not wrong. Let me try and make that clearer. I did try and explain it. But over the past couple of years, LA has had extreme weathers, whether that's extreme rainfall followed by extreme droughts followed by extreme rainfall. So when the rain falls, the trees and the shrubbery grow. So you're getting lots and lots of foliage there. Then you get an extreme drought, which turns that foliage less into the green, lavish scenery that you're probably used to, into sort of kindling, into what you would use to start a fire. Mix that with a bit of heat and wind, and somebody dropping a cigarette bud, if you like. It could have been started on purpose. It may have been an accident. It may have just happened on its own. But what they're saying, what scientists are telling us, is that climate change has made these sorts of devastating incidences much more likely in the future. Was that clear?
Yeah, it's clear, but I mean, we're going about the heat and the sun. How we can't change the heat on the sun by doing things. I mean, they tell us to recycle, and yet I watched a programme, all our recycling gets sent to, it was a foreign poor country, and it's all stood there, thousands of tonnes from the UK for them to sort out, which I thought was disgusting.
Absolutely. We're not saying that we're handling things perfectly. That's not what we're talking about. But certainly carbon emissions contributes to global warming. Last year was, I think, the warmest year on record, and it surpassed the 1.5 degrees that we were told that we're not supposed to surpass. It has, I mean, it's a 20-year average, so we're not in a disastrous zone, but it is certainly not looking good. But I'm getting the feeling from you, Shelley, that you actually don't think climate change is so serious anyway.
Well, it is, but we've had things like Ice Age, we've had Great Floods in London, we've had a lot of things through history, change in climate, if you look back in history.
They could potentially wipe us out, but maybe that's okay. Maybe that's the world keeping itself in balance. We're the ones causing it trouble. Wipe out the humans, all the animals survive.
They're not comparable, those things. And what we're talking about here is a very specific trend of the globe of global warming leading to extreme weather events. it is the rapid acceleration. You know, the weather does change, the climate does change. It does. That is true. But we have massively accelerated that, and we are in control of being able to slow it down again. I would also just like to make one quick point, because I am a man of my word.
Yes,
I like facts. I like truth. I said that the climate change has cost the UK economy $15 trillion in the last decade. It's $2 trillion, which is you know, what's a couple of trillion between friends.
It's funny when you get up to the million and trillion and billions.
It
gets
gets
this perspective on what it means.
It all
But
just
we
blends in.
were skating on the Thames in the 17th century, just to let you know.
It's not comparable.
Okay,
It's not comparable.
we're going to move on. Shelley, thank you very much for your call. Thanks for all your calls.